Enter the Long Box of the Damned 2025 Bumper Contest, if you dare. Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. With the 800th episode done with, we're back to our Patreon-sponsored extravaganza. And once again, that means a break from the bad to go to the good with Gwenpool. The backstory here is a bit weird and yet completely in tune with a corporate mindset. In the mid-2010s, two things were quite popular at Marvel. The first was Deadpool, who had had a major resurgence in popularity, not just in the comics, but in pop culture at large, and this was even before the Ryan Reynolds movie had come out. The movie really solidified the character's popularity, but he was definitely more well-known at that point. And then there was Gwen Stacy. In 2014, Marvel did the Spider-Verse storyline, featuring Peter teaming up with a bunch of alternate universe Spider-Men and women. One of these was a version where it was Gwen Stacy who was bitten by a radioactive spider instead of Peter, nicknamed Spider-Gwen. The popularity of Spider-Gwen led to a variant cover gimmick in June 2015, where all the titles in the line got their own reimagined version with Gwen Stacy as that character. That included Deadpool, where he was doing Deadpool's Secret Wars, long story with that, and thus we had Gwenpool on the cover. Gwenpool, despite just being a humorous little joke cover and not a real character, ended up getting a ton of fans cosplaying as her, which Marvel took notice of. Writer Christopher Hastings and editor Heather Antos were told to create an actual character for her, but despite the character's name, to not have any connection to Deadpool or Gwen Stacy so that Marvel could keep her film and TV rights, since Deadpool's and Gwen Stacy's were owned by Fox and Sony respectively. And thus, Gwenpool! She premiered in a Howard the Duck backup story as Gwendolyn Poole, a girl who was transported from the real world into comics, thus knows that the books are fictional and uses that to her advantage, assuming that it doesn't matter if characters die or that there are any real consequences to her actions, since the dead will resurrect or the Avengers will fix it or something. So let's dig into the unbelievable Gwenpool number 1 to 4 and see how an ongoing with this character worked.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. What's with these awkward subjects? What's all this art so rubbish? To anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he is a man, punch, sporadically a grouch. Linkara, he has his own spaceship, but he's always on his couch. Linkara, ghosts, gods, a universe in flux. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
Reading from a trade, so no looking at the covers. We open on a truck, which Gwenpool informs us she is not inside of. This is a prologue to catch you up on stuff before the main story. You'd think there'd be a floating word that said prologue here or something. That's because it's more of a cold open, Gwen. We're not at the credits of the issue yet, so we're setting up events that lead into the main story, but a more overt prologue would be establishing backstory for the main plot. They're related, but not necessarily the same thing. A group of bank robbers, including an uncle and nephew, whom has disabled the bank security, are preparing to storm in with guns despite their reluctance because of seeing a couple superheroes flying nearby. Still, they decide to go ahead with it, and Gwen points out where she is as the camera zooms in on the bank. There I am! Hi! I assume there is someone out there reading what's happening to me in a comic right now, which is why I'm narrating all of this in my head.
I went for a drive to clear my head, which is why I'm now in the car.
Meta fourth wall breaking stuff like this can be difficult to cover because it's often done for humor like this. And it's difficult to riff on something that's already trying and mostly succeeding at being funny. That's why I rely on other people's jokes as a crutch in these situations. Or I just say the word boner and that's good for a chuckle. Gwen is attempting to open a bank account with 2 duffel bags full of cash. Well, as she points out, only one of the bags has cash. But since she's from the real world, she doesn't have an ID or social security number. Oh, I might have to talk to someone. This happens more often than you would think in the Marvel Universe. I need a special form for this, and I don't think we keep copies on hand. The bank robbers come in, and Gwen says that once she stops them, the bank will happily waive the requirements, which the bank associate says he really can't do, but she changes clothes anyway. Stealing money, huh? Cool. But I bet you really wish you were robbing a blood bank, because you're about to run out of blood soon. Get it? Gwen, it's a good line, but the phrasing needs work. This is why I prefer being scripted rather than off the cuff. It lets you streamline the material. Or again, just say something about boners. She shoots some of the robbers and narrates about how she doesn't have any superpowers, just guns, and that she's from the real world and read a ton of comics set in the Marvel Universe. She tosses a grenade to blow up the remaining robbers, to the horror of the civilians in the bank. Please don't shoot me, ghost-faced no-pants killer! Dude, have you never even seen a one-piece swimsuit before? Do you call people in those no pants? Weirdo. You should apologize to the murderous woman right now. She declares that she's the good guy. And next page, she's been arrested along with the nephew, who remained outside. She tries to point out that she stopped the robbery, but the cops ignore her. The nephew points out that she murdered his uncle, but he's not too broken up about that, saying he was a bad guy. There's no need to actually go in a bank with guns to rob it. If you'd just waited, I could have done it electronically. There are a shocking number of people whose bank password is just password. Gwen suggests that he can just hack their way out of prison. I don't think there are terminals in the jail cells. You can hack your way to a terminal. Oh no, she was a real person, but she was an idiot. The cop stops in an alleyway and says that he's taking her duffel bag money. I need that money for an attorney. How else am I going to afford Matt Murdock or She-Hulk or any of the other lawyers that exist in this world? I mean, what, are there like 4 lawyers? 4 lawyers should be enough for this world, right?
You won't need a lawyer. You're not even gonna make it to the precinct.
He's gonna kill us! Quick, hack something before he kills us! Man, I'm sad that the reveal on the next page isn't that actually worked and he did indeed hack something. But no, the cop reveals that he's letting them go. As an ordinary cop in the Marvel Universe, he has to deal with the weird-ass sci-fi and fantasy stuff all the time until the superheroes show up to resolve it, and he's kind of over the whole shooting at literal demons and wondering if it's gonna happen again next week kind of thing. So he's gonna take the money that Gwenpool had that he presumes she got illegally and is going to disappear. I got that money killing a totally evil snake guy. It's from insurance fraud. The cop says that he thinks Gwenpool, while acting stupid, does seem to want to do the right thing, so is gonna give her a second chance. She agrees if he throws in the police car, which she agrees to and takes the hacker on a joyride. She tells the guy that she's going right back to being a mercenary, but only taking on righteous jobs, with the hacker guy as her trusty sidekick back at HQ. He agrees because he's now a wanted fugitive. We are gonna need to sleep in the car tonight, though. Not because I can't afford a hotel, just that ever since I got to this universe, the artist only remembers to draw a hotel bathroom like 30% of the time. Soon, they're doing a job taking on sentinels attacking a school, and Gwen manages to get in close enough to insert a remote control system into them by noticing their attack pattern matches the one from the X-Men arcade game. Unfortunately, she insists on having a hacking guy blow them up right in front of the place they're attacking instead of luring them away, so she causes enough collateral damage to botch the mercenary gig. She heads to the costume place where she first got the Gwenpool costume, where we learn it also serves as a front for mercenary gigs. The owner, Ronnie, refuses to give her any dangerous jobs given how she screwed up this latest one, but she insists on doing a big one. Eliminate a gang of Teuthadaan weapons dealers. Ronnie says they're out of her league. Armed alien guards all over the place, they're only in town for one night to do the sale, and there's no chance she'd even get close to the ship. Gwen asks how much the pay is on it, and we get a great visual gag of her drawing dollar signs on her own mask like a cartoon. Gwen, you will die. No, I won't. This is like issue 1. Or maybe it's another backup or something?
Your logic is correct.
Gwen uses a tour guide's helicopter to dive onto the ship. Only once she arrives, she discovers someone beat her to the punch. Another assassin has entered the ship and started killing all the alien guards. She finds the assassin as he finishes the job, who speaks to his own benefactor that they'll soon both collect the merc money and claim all the weapons, but Gwenpool sees fit to shove him into a conveniently placed furnace, where he burns to death. Hell, I wonder who that was. Well, now he goes by the name Extra Crispy. Gwen takes credit for the job, allowing her and the hacker, whose name is actually Cecil, to get a nice hotel room. Unfortunately, they're soon attacked by, of all beings, Modok. It seems he was the one who dispatched the assassin, and since Gwenpool was able to kill said assassin, he's decided to force her to work for him. She laughs this off, not taking Modok seriously, so he vaporizes Cecil, much to her horror. I was wrong. I'm not a hero. I'm a henchman. Well, hey, at least that means you're still gainfully employed. Issue 2 begins with Modok briefing his team inside of a giant robot spider. Comic books. Modok informs his team that they're being sent to assassinate the Seed of Pains, a druid who can summon poison vines or other nasty creatures. The seed is being transferred for reasons obscured to me. It is possible that S.H.I.E.L.D., AIM, or even Roxxon wishes to weaponize his twisted communion with Earth. Either that, or someone in authority really wants to annoy their neighbor via gardening. Gwen brings up some continuity about how Modok had retired before this, but he just brushes it off as having gotten bored. This annoys her, given how he just murdered her friend. I know I've been painted otherwise, but I am a hero for this planet. I am the most powerful intellect in the galaxy. I've had wealth, power, and resources beyond all need. I've felt love, and I've even known peace. But when I try to hire a ghostwriter to make my autobiography, suddenly I'm difficult to work with, just because I keep vaporizing people ahead of me in the coffee shop line who can't make up their minds about what they want, even though they had plenty of time to think about it. I am the mental organism designed only for killing, so killing is what I will do. But I am a righteous killer! And so must be my agents. And the Punisher keeps getting transformed into weird stuff, so he never answers my calls. Being such a good guy, Modok balks at her pointing out the murder, claiming that it's her fault for him doing so since she laughed at him. Cecil was sacrificed to ensure you never laugh at it again. Mental organism designed only for being a jackass, more like. Modobj. Gwen swears that she'll kill Modok, but in the meantime gets acquainted with the team. Megatony, their scientist and potion maker, the Terrible Eye, a magic user who speaks in cryptic statements about the horrors that await on the other side of reality, and Batroc Zilepir, an old-school Captain America phone known mostly for kicking things. Gwen thinks the group basically make up an adventure party. Tony is the healer, the Eye is the mage, Batroc is the thief, and then she wonders who the tank is. And it's her, because she killed the last one. Oh good, the tank is also the comic relief. They soon attack the police transport carrying the seed, making it look like an accident and then using Gwen's stolen cop car to make it look like they're escorting him themselves. Unfortunately, the other cops recognize that it is odd that the officer who talked to them was French, so call their friend for her assistance in this. Our heroes try to have Tony kill him with an injection, but he admits he feels too weird about killing a guy up close and defenseless, so he just injected him with something to suppress his powers. However, before one of the others can finish him off, the Jane Foster Thor shows up. Batroc keeps trying to get Gwen to shoot to kill on Thor, not that it would do much good anyway, but of course they're completely out of their league in this fight. It's only Gwen remembering Jane Foster's name, and that she's played by Natalie Portman, that gets her attention. Thor explains that there's a dying elven colony being afflicted by a root that chokes the life from their island, and the Seed of Pains could eradicate that growth, thus she was trying to discreetly get him there. There was nothing nefarious at work. Still, Modok swore to kill them if they fail, so Gwen shoots a rocket at the seed, blowing him up. I mean, great for you, Gwen, but you couldn't have waited to do so after she was done using him? Thor is pissed, but the others in the team say they can solve this, the Eye siphoning off his magic energy into a potion Tony makes, creating essentially magic weed killer. Thor is satisfied with this outcome. Pragmatism is more acceptable than murder sometimes, I guess. Come, wicked plants! Wither at the touch of Thor's spray bottle! Unfortunately, it's going to turn out that the plants were actually a bunch of pseudo-widows, and actual water would have done more good. While Modok hosts celebrations for their victory, Gwen sits on top of their giant robot spider staring at Cecil's skull and wondering what to do now. I'm the hero, right? I'm in comic book world. I got a costume, someone's reading this, then why am I a henchman for Modok? It's an opening arc, Gwen. You're gonna have some struggles before you find a status quo. Oh, wait, this is a modern comic. You're not gonna have a status quo, and your book will be relaunched in a year or two as part of the aftermath of an event comic. Batroc suddenly shows up and attacks her, demanding she shoot him or use her martial arts prowess against him. She does shoot, but all of her bullets miss, and, well, this is the guy known for powerful kicks, so she's got nothing. You cannot shoot. You cannot fight. no powers to speak of. In her defense, she brought the cop car and she blew up the seed, accomplishing the mission. You compromised our mission with your foolishness. Okay, but Tony refused to kill the guy you were after and you're not busting his chops. He ends issue 2 by declaring he's going to tell Modok that she's a fraud. And at the beginning of the next issue, we see her chasing after him to get him to stop. He doesn't care if Modok kills her. He sees her as a liability. However, she finally reveals her true power. She knows everyone's secrets because she comes from a world where they're all comic book characters. Batroc thinks she's crazy, which is also justification to get her kicked off the team. One woman uttering crazed nonsense is plenty for the team. And we see the Terrible Eye yelling at a rock. If rocks are so offended by what people are saying about them, then they should speak up about it. You're just not listening to the right rocks. I know a guy who writes poetry about it. This is why I'm still Team Pylo. Gwen gets him to reconsider when she explains that she stopped Thor by saying a secret of hers, and in turn, she knows all about Batroc's history as well, including how he doesn't really have much memory of his life before his first fight with Captain America. You didn't exist before that. It's your first appearance. Also, you were kind of created to be a big, goofy French stereotype. That's why for a few years you were only ever able to say baguette croissant. Yeah, it's in your Wikipedia article. Batroc sounds like batrachian, which means frog-like. Your thing is jumping around. French, frog, get it? I checked the Wikipedia article, and that is indeed there. Unless this has changed since September 2025. Hello, future commenters mentioning that. I hope the future doesn't suck as much as the present. Batroc is pissed about this, but they're interrupted by Modok, who tosses his bookkeeper out a window to his death. It seems that said bookkeeper can't seem to put Gwenpool on the payroll because they can't find any evidence that she exists. Gwen asks to be paid in cash, but Modok refuses. This organization does things by the books. Now make sure to fill out Form 1194C for killing the seed. Do not use 1194B. That's for if you had shot him with bullets. C is for explosive weaponry. Batroc decides to hold off on talking to Modok, and Gwen goes down to see Ronnie again, hoping to either get more fabric for pants for her outfit, or at least a freelance merc job that she can get paid in cash. She explains her situation to Ronnie, who hands her some kind of weird egg, and smashes it in her hand. The egg then dissolves into a note that says 1 p.m. Not the strangest thing I've seen here, but I'm still pretty weirded out. Don't worry about it, Gwen. It's just that one guy from the Dreamwave Transformers comics. Expect a lot of dull surprise in your future. While Modok tries to investigate Gwenpool himself, Batroc takes some time to try to train Gwen so she's not so useless on the battlefield. So you believe you are in a fictional world, some sort of fairy tale. Sure. I mean, given how weird comic book universes are, it's still more like the Rose Elf than Cinderella, but still. Batroc says that if it's like a fairy tale, it should have happy endings, but he keeps seeing defeat and disappointment. Gwen sadly points out that he's the villain in the stories, but he has a counter. But then where is the happy ending for the captain? He has fought for decades with only the illusion of meaningful victory. The world is no safer place because of him. He struggles for nothing. Batroc the bummer, am I right? Time freezes as 1 o'clock hits, and Gwen is met by Dr. Strange. He explains that he gives the consultant coupon as a Christmas present to Ronnie, who in turn will sell it for a high price. Gwen explains her problem of being from a world outside this one, and Dr. Strange recognizes this, even grabbing Gwen's pink word balloon. What? What is that? Sort of a cosmic accent. I can see you are very far from home. Before you think that the Sorcerer Supreme has taken this whole thing a bit in stride, I remind you that his name is not Dr. Normal Everyday Situations. He takes her on a little cosmic vision, able to perceive the real world, as it were, and how their own reality will leave footprints on said real world. Recordings, retellings, etc.
Benedict Cumberbatch, eh?
Sure, I can see that. 14 million possible outcomes for these actors, and it's always a British guy doing an American accent. Weird, isn't it? Strange says that he can't send her home, but he can adapt her so that it's as if she's always lived in the Marvel Universe. At the very least, have a social security number. Though Gwen seems sad, not that she can't go home, but that it's probably for the best that she doesn't go back home. In turn, he does warn her, as they see her parents holding her as a baby, that doing this might make their memories of her hazy or possibly forget her entirely. And again, she comments that that might be for the best. And so he accomplishes the spell and brings her back, even giving her her a driver's license. Still, it was actually pretty easy for the doc to accomplish this, so he still has some appointment time with her and asks if there's anything else he can help with. As such, she pulls out Cecil's skull and asks if there's a way the two can still communicate.
Yes, but only over LinkedIn.
Oh god, it's not even worth it then. The time runs out and Modok suddenly gets tons of pings about Gwen's life and details. Batroc resumes talking to her and says he can teach her some basic martial arts as well, but the issue ends with Modok deciding that since all the data indicates that Gwen is completely normal and without anything special or powerful about her, that she has no place in his organization and needs to kill her. Mental organism designed only for douchiness. Our final issue begins with Batroc training Gwen how to shoot Modok coffee mugs while she narrates to us. Here, superheroes and supervillains fight over the same five-ish things on a pretty regular basis. Power, love, infinity gems, money, miscellany, which could range anywhere from basketball tickets to pizza toppings, honestly. Batroc says that Gwen's knack for firearms is improving, but she's still got a lot of work ahead of her, and her hand-to-hand skills are still garbage, so if she gets into close-quarters combat, she should fight dirty. Gouge eyes, kick in the crotch, explosives. Explosives seem like a terrible idea in a close-quarters fight since, she's close quarters, but what the hell do I know? Worked for Joseph Joestar. In the intervening time, Gwen has gotten money for her bank account and a ton of money, which she has used to buy posters, supplies, guns, lots of guns, but of course now she's running low on cash and is ready for the next mission. The team gets ready to head out to deal with some rogue Atlanteans planning to dig a tunnel under Manhattan, but after the others are told to leave, Modok orders Gwen to remain. He reveals that he knows she has no powers and abilities, but wants to know how she killed his greatest agent then. He didn't even know anything about that guy, just how good he was. Modok, that should clue you into this being a fictional universe. If he wasn't important enough to even have a dumb one-syllable code name like Kane or Scythe or Dork. She admits that she pushed him into a furnace when he wasn't looking. As such, he decides to vaporize her. But fortunately, she has been preparing for this and bought a shield generator. She unleashes her smoke grenades filled with pink smoke to show how serious the situation is. Where are you? I'm a ghost ninja, fool! I've been saying it this whole time! I'm Gray Fox from Metal Gear Solid, but pink! She takes out his laser vaporizer, whatever, and takes Batroc's advice to heart, fighting dirty with explosives on Modok's undercarriage. The fight continues, Gwen of course reminding us that she took an oath to kill him 2 issues ago. She does a lot of damage, but he ejects from the mechanical legs into his standard rocket chair and just unleashes all his weapons at her. With no other choice, she launches Cecil's skull at him like a Pokeball. Seriously, she says, "Cecil, I choose you." No judgment there, I remind you that I have Pyramid Head and some ghosts and Pokeballs. My life is not like other comic reviewers. And Cecil emerges as a ghost. Gwen quickly gets him up to speed, and fortunately, as both a ghost and a hacker, Cecil is able to possess Modok and launch his body into space, where we can see the onomatopoeia of his yelling from the International Space Station. We were all fed lies. In space, everyone can hear you scream. Cecil comes back, as do the rest of the team, and she catches them up on what happened. The Eye is certain Modok will return, but they've got a respite from him for a while at least. And so our comic ends with their mysterious client calling them, saying that they're aware that there's been a change of management. This comic is fun and cute, and it's really kind of hard to make original jokes for something that's already kind of a comedy, so I hope you liked this one. And yeah, it's legit funny and energetic. The art and writing knowing to restrain the humor so that they're not trying to jam in jokes every single panel and thus overwhelming the reader. Instead, you just got Gwen making commentary on the absurd or little moments like Modok commenting to himself that speaking into a pen like it's a microphone is fun to do. Basically, instead of everything being a farce like what may happen in a Deadpool book, they're putting a farcical character into an average Marvel book and keeping everything else relatively serious. Hell, I wasn't expecting Cecil to make a return at all. I just kind of figured he was there to be a comedic foil for Gwen and then be murdered to try to make her take things a little more seriously, but this works out just as well. It also introduces a fun supporting cast with having Batroc be a quasi-mentor, while Tony and the Eye provide different perspectives on the Marvel Universe from both a science and magical background. Their, and Gwen's, own backstories can then be explored later and also showing growth along the way. I admit I'm souring on decompressed storytelling a bit as time goes on, and books don't get a chance to establish themselves by the time their opening storyline ends, and consequently losing readers. But these 4 issues are paced pretty well and do a good job of setup. Good stuff. Pity the series ended after 2 years. Next time, we continue our briefly interrupted Patreon-sponsored extravaganza as we head over to talk about a Yu-Gi-Oh! Series that I know nothing about. Hi, Cecil! I missed you! You're a ghost! Doctor Strange enchanted your skull so I could summon you! Do you think if we got him to enchant your other bones, we'd get multiple ghosts of you? Hello, my friends. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications on new video releases. If you'd like to support future videos, you can check out my Patreon, buy merch from the store envy link in the description, or check out the t-shirts available from Teespring. Thanks for watching.